This is very important in skies. Burnt sienna and ultramarine blue make a lovely grey, which is perfect for clouds. Hi everyone, I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. So welcome on board, click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Today, this morning, I'm going to lay out my butcher's tray palette with colours from tubes. I realised the other day that I spent a lot of money earlier in the year on tube paint, which I haven't been using really because I've switched to palettes, ready-made palettes. And then I thought, well, I think I could do this because I think this is something which we should probably talk about. So I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. But to say to you that the main reason for having your paints like this, and you don't need all this many, but if you do decide to go for the traditional big palette like this is the palette, these are the paints. The reason why you do this is because then you can choose the colours that you want. And I have a sort of personal set of colours that I have over the years settled on. And you don't necessarily find those in a set. When you buy a set like this, you're getting the colours they've chosen, which is great. But there's also the advantage that you might have if you chose your own colours. So we'll get started up the top here. I'm going to start with the yellows, and because they're the lightest, and a colour that everybody needs in their palette is lemon yellow. So the way I do this is I squeeze out a little dollop like that, and that could last me a very long time, that little dollop of paint. And then the other yellow that I need, must have, is more of a cadmium yellow. This is Chevening yellow, it's a Dutch make, but you would probably find cadmium yellow, which might be a bit darker than that. But the thing is, this is a cool yellow, this is a warm one, and you need both of those. Then this is yellow ochre, which is on the brown side. And if you're doing landscapes with any kind of level of ground or something like that, then yellow ochre is a nice light brown that you probably need. And then just move these ones out of the way. Naples yellow is an opaque yellow, which is very handy in skies and things like that. So I always have Naples yellow. That's one of my choices, one of my particular choices. That's also yellow ochre. That's also Naples, different ones. And then Quinacridone gold, which I consider to be essential, but a lot of people don't have it. But that looks like a brown, but it's actually a beautiful yellowy, orangey colour that mixes very, very well with other colours to make beautiful shades. So I always need that. And in order to remember what I have, after I've done this or as I'm doing it, I'll use a Sharpie and put the name. So QG, Quinacridone Gold, Lemon Yellow for that one. And this one is basically cadmium yellow. This one is yellow ochre. This one is Naples yellow. So you do it like that. Okay, and then going on from the yellows, I'm going to go to greens. I never used to use ready mixed greens at all, but I do now. I use sap green. So we'll put down some sap green here. And that, when mixed with Quinacridone Gold, makes a beautiful green. We don't ever use it neat out of the tube. Then a darker green, hooker's green, which is more bluish than this one. Same thing, if it's mixed with the yellow, you get a lovely colour. Then if you're in a hurry and you need a mixed green already, then olive green is the one to go for. That's a very good leaf colour. So that's the greens. And then after that, we're going to need Another optional colour, not everyone wants this, but I like it, is turquoise, which is halfway between green and blue. So we'll put down a blob of turquoise there. This is Scheveningen Turquoise Deep, but obviously everybody makes that. Then my favourite colours of blue are ultramarine, which is the warmer blue. It has a slight red tone to it. I've got several of those here, but we only need one. There's French ultramarine too, which is slightly different. And then we need a phthalo blue, or what used to be called Prussian blue, which is a blue, very, very strong blue, but also, again, very, very important in mixes. You don't use that neat, you use it with other colours. And then cobalt blue, which is my favourite for skies. A lot of people don't like cobalt blue. I don't know why, but I do. So that's one of my options. Or you could use manganese, which is also a nice colour for sky and so on and so forth. Makes nice leaves, that sort of thing. So now we've got our yellows, our greens and our blues. After blue, we're going to go to red, and or purple actually. So we'll start with a Quinacridone Purple. Quinacridone colours are very good, very strong, very clean, very neutral. They don't have any dangerous chemicals in them, although most paints nowadays don't. And then I've got here Dioxazine Mauve, which is another similar colour. You can, of course, mix your purples from blue and red, but if you're in a hurry and you need a purple quickly, that's always useful. Then coming down to the reds, the basic red that you will definitely need is alizarin crimson, which is a strong bluish red which gives you pinks. You also need a rose colour, and I would probably go for permanent rose, and that gives you other pinks, and obviously you're going to mix. The point with all these colours is you very rarely use them straight from the tube. You almost always use them mixed in with other colours, or at least that's the way I always work. And then this is your orangey red, so this would be your cadmium red. Cadmium red hue this is, which means it doesn't have any cadmium in it. And then you might want an orange. This is a Scheveningen orange, which is not very well mixed. I have to mix that up once it's out. So that's just basically equivalent of cadmium orange. And then all of those we've already used. Raw sienna. So we're coming to the browns. Raw sienna, a very important artist's colour. Then burnt sienna, which is a lovely colour, if I can find it. There we are. This is very important in skies. Be surprised. Burnt sienna and ultramarine blue make a lovely grey, which is perfect for clouds. You wouldn't have thought that, would you? Then we need raw umber. These are landscape colours, really. Raw umber, dark brown, which can make greens darker, so for trees and things. And then burnt umber, which is, again, a darkening colour, which will give you stormy clouds and dark trees and so on and so forth. Then you can have, that's another burnt sienna, light red or Venetian red, which are kind of opaque, reddish brown colours. You can see that that could be useful in many ways. And raw umber we've already got. Then finally, your neutrals, which of course are going to be white. We have white here, which you use to make things a little bit more opaque. Let's put that here. You can't expect white watercolour to paint over the top of anything, but it can be used to make things a little bit more opaque. Then we have black, if we can get it out of the tube. Black makes everything darker. Again, you don't often use it neat. but if you add black to blue, you're going to get a darker blue. And then a selection of different neutrals here. We've got indigo, sepia, Payne's grey, neutral tint, and another intense black here. This is a Cheveningen one. I probably should have squeezed that one out because it's more runny. So you don't need all of those. I like indigo, actually, which is a very dark blue. That's quite nice if you're doing anything monochromatic. Sepia is obviously a very dark brown. I'll put that down here with the browns, but again, it's a neutral colour, neutralising colour. Payne's grey, everybody needs that one. At least they think they do. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I'll pop a bit out there. And neutral tints, which is exactly what it says it is. It's for neutralising colours a little bit without changing the colour, just knocks them down a bit. So there we are. And then the way I paint with this is obviously in the normal way with a paintbrush, surprisingly enough. And if I want to mix some green, I might take some Quinacridone gold. I might take a little bit of blue. I think that's ultramarine. And then I have my colour, which is going to be whatever I want. And then I do all the mixing in the middle here, and I just gradually pull the colours out as I want them and work from there. That's how I do it when I'm painting a picture, when I want to feel a little bit more free, because then of course you've got more space. If you want to use a large brush like this one, you can actually move things around a bit and mix up big washes in the middle here. And yeah, it's a completely different experience. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with painting from a tin. I do it all the time. The last video I recorded, I used this tin because I didn't need a lot of colour. But if you need a lot of freedom and you want to paint something larger scale, say for example you're painting on a canvas, watercolour on a canvas, then probably a good way to free yourself up is to use this kind of technique, this kind of system. So there we are. I'll let you go there. And so this is, lesson 1. Don't forget to label them because you'll forget what they are. Lesson 1 in painting with your own palette and mixing your own colours. So hope that's helpful, and I'll see you again soon. So bye for now. Bye everybody.